Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, good stuff, man. How you doing today?
Good. I have some questions prepared,
This meeting
so
is
let's
being
go.
recorded.
Yeah, hell yeah. I love that. I love that. Give me two
Cool.
seconds. I don't know what happened. I think Daniel may have accidentally sent the wrong link out to people. Or maybe that was my fault. Maybe I accidentally programmed this thing wrong. Um, because I was wondering why last time there was such little attendance, and maybe that's the reason why. Is because I thought it was on one link and everybody else thought it was on something else.
I'm here almost
Uh,
every single time, so
yeah, I
it's
was
worth
because
it.
did you attend last time, like this last week?
I don't think last week, but other than that, I think
Okay,
pretty much.
yeah, because I was wondering, I was like, I think I saw that your note taker, like I got the notification, your note taker joined my thing, and then I was like, why? Like I saw that he wasn't there, so I was like, okay, well maybe something happened. Um, I don't know.
Mhm.
Could just be an issue on my end, but while everybody else is piling in, you got some prepared questions. So
Yep.
let's go ahead and run it. Let's go ahead and start running through some of them.
All right. So I have three questions.
Yeah.
So when it comes to time, like being able to put the time per week, like is it always a smoke screen? Like if they don't want to do it now, but also don't want to put a down payment for later start?
Yeah. Well, because think about it like this. If logically everything we talk about makes sense to them, like they feel like what we do here. And so, okay. So if we've done the pre-work of based on everything we've gone through here today, do you feel like this genuinely can get you to, whatever the fuck they want? Or how do you feel? Because that's the most important thing. Yes. Why do you feel like it can? Because of ABC, XYZ, element, OP. Okay. And then on
Yep.
your end, you feel like you're willing to do what's required to actually get you to the point where you can get to whatever the hell the outcome is. Yes. Okay, cool. Well, then help me understand, like, what would be the reason that you would be wanting to put things off if you genuinely feel like this can actually get you where you want to go? So that part has to be like established first of all. But assuming that is true, then
Mhm.
it is a smokescreen. Because if you think about it, if I've got a problem, you got the solution, and you're willing to do whatever is required to make it happen, then what else is there other than just
Yeah.
doing it?
Then the problem is like when people are not willing to do what's required. Because for example, today had one guy
Mhm.
and he was telling me that, oh, it's just the timing because I want to really like um just relax because of the Christmas. Those 2 weeks are really, really hard this year. And I told him,
Okay.
okay, no problem at all. Like we can just basically also for everyone in December, we give an extra 2 weeks so that won't affect you at all, and you have access to everything right away. And then you'll start when you have onboarding call on in January.
Okay.
And then he gave me another objection that like he's concerned that like he wouldn't be able to put 7 to 10 hours a week.
Okay. Well,
And
then, so it was bullshit. So then the first one was bullshit then.
what do you mean?
So then the first excuse is bullshit, basically. That's what it sounds like. It's
Um,
like,
he,
so,
he
okay,
even
we'll just get you.
discovered even in discovery he said that like 7 to 10 hours a week might be problematic. So I
Okay.
got the
Why?
objection even discovery.
Okay. But,
Discovery.
okay. And then how did we go about handling um, the objection in discovery once he said that?
Um, I kind of got him to saying that he has the time, but it probably wasn't as powerful as it could have been.
Yeah. So then
Um,
did he, because he may have just said, yeah, go along to get along versus actually meaning what he said.
yeah, he may had. Let me reshare because I want to share sound as well. I can just share the really short clip of it.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see what we got. Margaret, happy to have you.
Yeah, nice to come on board. Sorry I was late. I was just finishing up an application for a role, so but
Okay.
I'm happy. Yeah.
Yeah. No, no, no worries whatsoever.
Uh, oh, that's a lot. So it's here. Roughly one and a half hour a day.
Yep, yep, yep.
And
Yeah, I
even
mean that's I look, obviously this is the hard part of the conversation
Mhm.
because I know what I'm not doing is not enough.
Yep.
Okay.
I've just got to figure out how to do this and find a way for it to be enough.
Okay. Like,
How
for
do you
example,
mean?
how much time do you spend on applying? Like, what would you expect him to say?
I mean, I don't know. Like literally, I have no. So I don't know what the context is up to this point, but it is like
Mhm.
I know what I'm doing isn't enough, but I also don't. I need it to be enough. I'm like, but how? Like, how does it? To me, that makes no sense. I'm like, what do you mean? How do
Yeah.
you mean? Like, can you
Mhm.
elaborate on that for me? Like when you say it's not enough, like what specifically is making you feel that it's not enough? And then he'll tell you, well, because I'm not able to, because he's putting in for roles right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's putting in for roles, and the level of effort isn't to the degree required to get what he wants. Okay, so when you say needs to be enough, are you meaning you need a more efficient process, or what do you mean exactly when you say that?
Mhm.
And then he'll tell you more shit about, because that to me is what it sounds like, is like I have X amount of time I can do, but it's not enough with my current process.
Yeah.
So I need a better
Actually,
process.
and that was my assumption in head. That's why I didn't ask him. Like, that was my first kind of like thinking in the head that that's what he means. I could have
Mhm.
clarified though. Applying for roles, would you say?
I spend probably half
But I went different angle because I want to understand like how much he's putting in to make sure he understands that we don't require any extra time on top of what he's doing, but the
Yeah.
time that he's
an hour,
doing.
45 minutes, a couple nights a week.
Mhm.
So probably right now, I'm probably close to like 4 hours a week. So it's probably not that crazy to go
Yeah.
from 4 to
So he already had 4 hours, which is very useful information here.
7.
Okay.
And that's we're talking only about applying. So when I say 7 to 10, I mean like everything together, right? So
Okay.
like also
Yeah,
preparation for
absolutely. So
interviews and things like
the
that.
prep.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah, because even like when you look at PCA, like for example, you have PCA Pilot, which helps with applying, and then you're spending 15 minutes a day, 10, 15 minutes a day instead of, half an hour a day. And you can actually apply for more roles. So it's fair to say that like if it's really something that's like super important for you, that you will be able to find that 7 to 10 hours a week to make it work.
Yeah, I think the truth is I have to. I think the truth is I have to because
Yeah, he was saying like I have to, but he wasn't saying like I will.
Yeah, he's like, I
Like,
have to. It's like, okay, well, I mean, knowing that you have to, are
Mhm.
you willing to do what's needed and actually find the
yeah,
time?
this is where I missed it, like to really
Yeah.
double tie down.
Yeah. Now, if
that's the
we
only way to get to the place I
zip,
want to get to.
because that's how we'll get to the place I
And also
want to
for
get
the
to. Yeah. So he knows, is like, for me to get what I want, I have to find the time.
Yeah.
So if he's talking later on about how, well, I don't know if I can, it's like, well, do you want what you want? Like, do you want your goal? Yes or no? Yes. Well, if you want your goal, and this is just logic, it's like, if you know the variables are this, and in order for you to get this, you have to do this. Well, if you're like, well, I want this, but I don't know if I can, it's like, well, dude, it's like me going to McDonald's and saying, well, I want it to be 2 cents versus $20. I don't make that choice. You can decide if you want the burger or not, but you can't decide what the price is. The price is $20. And so essentially, if the dude's later on saying, like, oh, well, I don't know if I can find time, it's like, well, do you want what you want? It's like the price is the time. So if you actually want what you want, based on all the pain you've told me thus far in the conversation and all the stuff that you are struggling with because you don't have the position you want, the price is the price. You don't get to like change that. I'm not God and neither are you. So you get to decide, are you willing to commit to putting in the time, even if it's a little bit hard? Because it sounds like that's more so what it is that it's hard to do and you're not maybe willing to back yourself to the degree and follow through to the level required to get what you want. Or am I totally off? Am I totally being wild in saying that? No. Okay, so then the question is not time or no time, it's does it matter enough for you to find it happen? To find it and make it happen? Well, yeah. So knowing that it matters to you, how are you going to go about making it so you can have the time? Because the truth is that everybody's got the same 24 hours in a day. It's not the quantity of time, it's how you use it. And how we use it is determined by our priorities. But if accomplishing what you want is not a big enough priority for you to allocate that time in an advantageous way, then will you ever be able to get that? Because then the other side of it is you don't. What does that future look like? Where you don't actually find what you need to get what you want, and things continue as they have the past X time frame. How much longer do you want not being willing to find a time to prevent you from living the life you truly want? So you can go down that route too. Because it sounds like, and I would be curious to know from like the what have you tried aspect of this, what specific parts around that would be the, like, I'd be curious to know what that looked like a little bit, but it doesn't sound like this is a time thing. It sounds like it's a commitment thing because
Yeah. I got into see it at the end of the call, basically. Not
Okay.
fully like, but yeah,
Okay,
you could
cool.
go into it, but I'll go with the
Yeah.
the
So
question.
it would just be a matter of in the discovery tying down a little bit harder on like this because even he was saying words like probably or other shit like that.
But he needs to, but he didn't say he will.
Yeah, so like language was something else that I noticed. He said, "Oh, I probably am doing X, or I'm probably not." It's like, well, that we're like 30 minutes in the conversation. I'd be curious to know when that first started happening and how we could have like nipped that in the bud earlier in terms of how definitive in his language he was.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Okay.
side conversation. So next one.
So in object handling document by Jack, like, do you pause to wait for people to answer the sentence that ends up with right? So they're like, for example, I was looking at the time. I guess like for here, like you pause for them to answer, right?
Yeah. Or how do you feel? Because that's the most important part. Yeah. Well, why do you feel? Why do you feel like you can, or whatever the hell they say?
But also like here, because I don't know if it's a rhetorical question or is it supposed to have a pause here?
I mean, that's one of those, it depends kind of answers, but basically, so I'd be trying to read how engaged is this person as I'm
Okay.
going through it. Are they like fly on the wall being spoken at, or are they actually like engaging? Like, is it a back and forth? Because if they're trying to be a fly on the wall and not like engage at all, I need to recognize that and then get them to engage.
Okay.
And get them bought into the steps. Because this is supposed to be a dance, not me dancing off in a corner somewhere by myself. Because otherwise you're speaking at them and then they're just playing patient until you run out of steam and then they jump off the call.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is like, if I understand correctly, if they're responding and they are, you see that they're engaged, you can basically go through it. Like with questions like you can just go through it. If they're not, you should pause and make sure that they are engaged.
Yeah, exactly. And there are different ways you can do that. It's like, so let's say for the sake of argument, they're just being a fly on the wall, and then you get to this thing. I can imagine you're pulling in 20K a month for you and your family, this, that, or the other thing. And then there's like, yep, I'm like, I mean, do you mean that? Or are you just kind of saying that because it fits what I'm kind of talking about right now?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, oh, no, I mean that. But why do you mean that? Well, because of what you just said, because I want the outcomes. So there's a little bit of like a back and forth. And part of it's going to, like, if they're super engaged, then I'm not going to need to like pull that out of them. But if they're being passive, like fly on the wall type shit, that's when I'm going to have to start saying things like my EQ is like, you're just going along. And I know that you're just going along to get along is not them actually agreeing with. It's them being like, I hear you. It's kind of like if somebody says, hey, Tommy, can you send me over some references of people? Guess what? I can make noises from my face to say that I have heard you without agreeing. I do it all the time. If someone says I need to think about it, it's like, yeah, well, we can talk about that. Did I agree with him? No. But it's a socially acceptable way for me to move past that without agreeing. It's the same thing. It's just that it's them doing it versus us doing it. So if someone says, can I talk to some of your clients? Be like, well, we can talk about that, or we can see how that might work. Did I say yes? No. Why? Because I'm not going to do that. But I'm also needing to understand that within that context, I can't tell them no, but I also can't tell them yes.
Mhm.
So I just say something to be polite in the conversation, in the moment, so I can move past it and do what I need to do. It's just they're doing it. And if you recognize that, then you're like, okay, you were just being polite and moving past this piece. I can't accept that. I need you to be a cooperative individual in this.
Okay, and the last one. With this kind of objection handling that Jack has, like, am I understanding correctly, like step 4 and step 5?
So basically, all we're trying to do is bring it to where they tell you what the real objection is. Whatever it is. Hey, Tommy, all this sounds great. It's just X. And you distill that down and sort through all the crap to, I'm scared to do it. So there is a logical way for them to move forward, and they're not taking it. Or there's a financial issue, meaning logically they cannot move forward. So it's one of those two. We're trying to distill it down into, there is a logical reason that, or there is a logical way that they can move forward and they're choosing not to, which is just fear. Or there is no logical way for them to move forward because they just don't have the capacity from a financial perspective. Those are the two root things we're trying to get to. Is one of those two.
Okay.
Everything else is we're sorting through it to get to one of those two things.
Okay, I understand that part. So this is like what you mean by like step 4?
Yeah, well, isolating and tying down to
can
the
look
real
like
objective.
this. Okay, so it's not like
exactly. So it's not actually X, it's more so Y. And then they agree. And then they agree that's what's actually going on.
Okay, and then does the 5th step mean that, okay, you basically tell them, okay, if you find a way to overcome the real objection, you'll move forward today, right? Is that what is the tie down?
Yeah.
Double tie down? Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
100%.
That's it from my side. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. Great questions. And I like the way you broke it down too. You came prepared, which is a big piece of getting clarity.
Yep.
Very, very, very good job. Very good job.
Thank you very much.
All right, good stuff. We got other people in here. We got obviously Margaret. She's putting in for her stuff. We got Aricia. We got Ahmed. How are you both doing today?
Yeah,
I'm
good.
good.
Doing amazing.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Anybody have any specific questions right now?
I have.
Yep.
So yeah, I got this offer. It's just DM setting and it's more like part-time thing. And
Okay.
then they didn't give me a contract. It's more like it's weird to have the contract. It's what I got from what they were saying. So I want to know, is it weird? I mean, is it really common to not having contract as a setter or something like that? Because before I got contract. So
Okay.
yeah,
What's the company, like where are they based?
Australia.
Okay, well, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure how they do it over there. In the States, you definitely need some sort of legal thing for any sort of contractors for the sake of taxes. So they're going to want to have that done. I'm not from Australia, so if somebody here has a little bit more experience from that side of the globe, you give me a little bit of clarity. If I was you, I wouldn't stop looking for positions, because here's the thing: if you're sketched out by it, and there's no legal thing in place, I mean, you could just unfortunately be doing free work for them unless they have something like established where they are a great company and they don't do that type of stuff. So that's something I would be thinking about potentially. But to answer your question directly, that's one of those things I'm not 100% sure on. Got you.
So it's actually common, like if it's like US based, to have contract as a setter. So it's like the what is it, like the basic thing to have, right? The contract.
Yeah, well, because then it gives you, well, it's number one, it kind of depends on how established the company is. But the most established companies, they all have like their legal stuff taken care of, because they want, like, especially good companies, they'll have the, good job, G. the companies are going to want to have the metrics of like, okay, this is what you agreed to. And then if they need to let you go, that's the standard they're comparing you to. But that has to be in writing. So it's like
Yeah.
Arisa signed up for doing 300 cold DMs or whatever it is, or 300 outbound dials. That was the expectation. And then she ended up getting let go because at the end of it, we told her to do that. And then she only did 100. And she did that for 3 weeks straight after multiple manager meetings to tell her she has to hit 300 and she didn't. So that's why they do it. Is at least in the States, that's why they do it, as well as like for documentation and financial stuff, so they can like deduct it on their taxes and that type of thing. So again, don't know what it is over there in Australia, how they operate, but in the States, that's how we do it and why we do it. The less developed a business will be, the less likely they will have those things figured out or dialed in, because they haven't had to have them figured out. It's been like a fly-by-night type of an operation.
Yeah. Because like before, I was also like this. So I was also like this before for the Australian company, but they didn't have like the contract and everything. But the thing is, I work with kind of the marketing team, you know what I'm saying? So I wasn't really working with the offer owner or something like that. And then now I'm working with also kind of the same, but it's more like outside DM setting management, you know. So I wasn't really working like directly with the offer owner as well. So that's why I was like, it's like like something in the past like happening again, you know what I'm saying? Because this company that I work with, I think they're like US based, but the offer owner is like Australian based. So that's why I was like, I'm kind of
Okay.
confused. I don't want to like something bad happen again before, because yeah, I already told them like this, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Okay. Well, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure because like I have no frame of reference on that side of the globe. You could maybe ask because I think you're in a couple other Discords, and one of them is Australian, so you could probably ask them, and they could give you a little bit more clarity around that. That's what I would do. But me personally, don't really have that good of an idea, just because like I've just operated with people in the States, and
Okay.
I'm here, and I understand how the legal stuff works here, and what good and bad kind of looks like here. So that's more my strong suit.
Okay. But in the future for the US base, it's basic to have the contract. That's it, right?
It should be, yeah. Unless they're a very like fly by night sort of a business. If they're a fly by night sort of a business, that's where things can be a little bit like but then that's when I'd be looking at who is the business owner. Like, is the business owner a standing, an upstanding person? Are they the type of person I believe is going to do right by people? Because that's the thing. Like for me, I don't even think for my very first closing role I signed anything. But the person who I was working with, I was like, yeah, they work with people that I know, like, and trust, and they're not schmucks. And so I'm like, okay, just because of the type of person this guy hangs around, I'm not going to have any problems. And I didn't have any problems just because of the type of. So, broadly speaking, the bigger the company, the more of that stuff they'll already have figured out. If it's a smaller company, you're looking more at the person that you're talking to and who's the business owner. And then based on that, you'll get an understanding of how they operate and what types of things they will and will not do. Because there are some companies where I look at them and I'm like, okay, this person, would I trust one of my best friends working in this company? I'm like, no, type of a thing. And then I'm like, okay, well, if that's true, then we need to be careful. So that's kind of
Okay.
how I think through these different things.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, good questions. Good questions. All right, Ahmed, I see you're unmuted. Do you have any specific questions?
No specific questions, but I would love to roleplay if that's okay.
Okay, good stuff. What's the offer you're on right now?
I'm not on an offer, but
Okay.
would like to try fitness.
Fitness. All right, good stuff. All right, it looks like Arisa just turned off the camera and Margaret's kind of just vibing in the background. So it looks like it'll just be you and me.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
I need to go to toilet.
Okay, yeah, no worries. All right.
Okay, cool. I'm trying to role play Deep Pain, if that's okay.
Deep pain. Okay, and
Yeah,
so after getting the logic phase, all right, cool. We'll run it.
yeah. Yeah. So given this has been a want, a need, and a desire for 3 years now, why is it now you're actually wanting to overcome, the lack of urgency to actually get to 70 kg?
I mean, I'm just sick and tired of what I see in the mirror.
Okay. And when you say you're sick and tired, what do you mean by that specifically? Because it can be different for different people.
Yeah, well, I mean, when it comes to waking up first thing in the morning, going into the restroom to get ready for the day, kind of looking at myself in the mirror, I'm just like, you know, seeing how everything kind of like looks and everything kind of feels too is just, I don't know. I've come to a point now where I'm like, I don't want that to keep on happening anymore.
And I appreciate you being open and honest with me. Can I ask, how long have you been experiencing that? You getting up in the morning and uh, kind of experiencing that in the morning?
I mean, it's been happening since I've started putting on the weight. So last couple of years.
Okay. So about 3 years now, would you say?
Yes.
Okay. And who do you think is affected by this? Of course, kind of you can say your self-esteem, but other than that, is there anyone else who is affected?
Well, I mean, my kids, I guess. Um, they obviously see it and they see, what happens every day. So I guess you could say they could be affected.
Okay, in what way?
Well, just kind of seeing me not be, content or happy with kind of the way I look and how I feel.
Okay, how do you know that?
I mean, I'm their mom, so
Okay, but I mean, like, is there any specific scenarios that something happened that caused you to actually feel it that way?
um, I mean, nothing specific. It's more so just like I don't know, just walking around wearing the extra layers and hiding basically. Um, like my kids are getting older. They're not as like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed as they used to be.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think anybody would be able to kind of notice.
Okay. And have you encountered anything that made you realize that this is happening for sure?
Um, I mean, nothing specific, but I think it's more of just like a vibe.
Okay. And like if that's the case, would you say, because a lot of people I speak to, if they think that other people think something of them, it's usually the fact that they actually think of themselves that way. So would you say that be the case for you as well?
It could be. It could be.
Okay. Why do you say it could be?
I mean, because I mean that might be at play. I guess I've never really thought of it like that.
Okay. And like I mean for you specifically, like why do you feel like it has been bothering you the most? Because I know we spoke about the kids and the family, but for you specifically, why is that bothering you? Just to see if this is something serious and we can help you with.
I mean, well, I mean, if it wasn't serious, then I wouldn't be on the call.
Yeah, but I mean, just being on the call doesn't mean you will actually get to 70 kg because if you have tried like different things in the past. So just to make sure this time is actually different and we can get you to 70 kg, it would help to like comprehend the full image because that's what we think is like the first step to actually getting there.
Okay.
So is there anything specific about you that actually made you feel that you're sick and tired? Like any specific scenarios? Because I know you can like to kind of yeah, I messed up. I was trying to like look for evidence that you're actually feeling that way.
Well, I mean, I think that if someone said they're looking at themselves in the mirror and feel bad about it, that's pretty good evidence. Okay, so you said that you felt this way for 3 years. And so is that every morning? Okay, so every morning when you wake up and look at yourself in the mirror. I'm no mathematician, but that's over
Yeah.
1,000 times. So you're telling me that it's been 1,000 times you've looked at yourself, like when you look at yourself in the mirror, what do you actually feel? Like when you see yourself, if you had to put a word on that, like how would you describe that? I know you said that,
Yeah.
you know, there's stuff you don't like to see, but when you say not like to see, if you had to name what you feel in those moments, what would you say that is? Oh, I feel disgust. Okay. And so
Okay.
every single morning for 1,000 days or more, by your own words, you've said you feel disgusted. So
Yeah.
knowing that to be the case, I mean, obviously you said that your little ones are getting older. How do you think they think about you feeling this way about yourself? Well, I don't know. Well, if you had to think about it, because like you mentioned, they're not exactly blind. Kids are very perceptive. So
Yeah.
what habits do you feel like they're learning from you, whether you realize it or not? Oh, well, I mean, probably that I'm, you know, not happy with where I'm at and I'm continually kind of subjecting myself and experiencing those sorts of things. Okay. And genuine question, do you want to teach your kids that not valuing yourself and valuing how you feel is something that's okay? Well, no. Right. And I know that you mentioned earlier that you're willing to draw that line in the sand. But if we look at this together, this is deeper than just us looking in the mirror type of a thing, isn't it? Yeah. So because it's deeper, how do you feel like, what are the deeper ramifications of us not actually taking care of this and handling this? If you really had to think about it, based on how you know your family works, what are some of those deeper things that are affected because of this being consistently in front of them every single day?
Okay. So that'd be just present without going into any like ramifications of the future or anything like that.
Yeah, well, it's like in my mind, I'm like, so if this person's got kids, I'd be, and we're trying to go really, we're trying to bury this person. It's like, okay, so well, not bury this person. We're trying to get them to really understand what is happening as a result of them essentially settling for where they're at, because that's all it is. Like all it is people settling for where they're at. And so, in order for us to get them to understand that they cannot settle, they must understand the current issues that are happening because they have not fixed it. And once we get them to see that at a very deep level, and that is deeper than just I don't look good in the mirror, although that can be a trigger point, it's you are actually creating generational unhealth in the people that you care about or you claim to care about if you're a mom, wanting them to do well. You are setting an example and building their relationship with health and fitness. And they're looking to you as the person that tells them what good looks like. And by you accepting
Okay.
being disgusted with yourself every single morning, you're teaching them that that's how it should be. Is that how you want to? Are those the type of values you want them to see and create for themselves in their lives? Well, no. Because here's the thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is just physically. But what happens? Like you got how many little ones you've got? I've got two. Okay, they both girls, both boys. You got a mix? Well, they're a mix. Okay, which one of them's a girl? The older one. Okay. Do you want her to not just build an unhealthy relationship with herself in terms of her health, but carry that into how she looks for a partner. Because the truth is, how we do anything is how we do everything. And if she accepts a level for herself and her health, that also sets the precedent for how she shows up in her relationships. I'm just kind of spitballing right now. But like what you'll notice is that I'm using what I understand about the person that I'm speaking with to explore other areas and helping them come to conclusions that they may have not thought of before.
Okay. Do you have like a specific mental map that you go by when you're actually like exploring what to ask next, or do you just kind
I
of
think about,
free
yeah, so
bounce?
what I think about, who am I talking to? And based on what they have told me, what matters to them. And then once I know that, what is the data around that? And then once I know the data around that, how can I take what they are thinking about and then push it and show them how it's pushing into other areas in a very reasonable way? Because here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to be like, hey, you hate the way you look at yourself in the mirror. That means that you're guaranteeing your grandkids are all going to die early. It's like, yeah, that could be the case, but that's like they're like disassociated from that. It's not real to them. Sometimes it might be if they're like actually experiencing like physical health issues because of their poor lifestyle. But I'm thinking about, okay, so if I had to find something about this person that actually mattered deeper than just the physical, how can I get to that deeper layer and then take that deeper layer into the other aspects of their life, but in a way that logically does make sense? Because here's the thing, if I'm bringing into the conversation stuff that they haven't thought before, and their first thought is like, that's not real, or that's bullshit, it's not going to work. So it's, how does it actually make sense? But you'll know what makes sense to them based on what matters and who. Because the thing is everything that we've done in our lives at this point in time is based on our decisions and what we believe is important. And anything somebody says on the call also is usually important. And so that means that if we can understand the full breadth and scope of it, then I'm just like, okay, well, if I had to put this person in a mental place where everything is crashing around them because of this poor decision around this specific thing we can fix, what would that be? And then that's where my mind goes. And then how can I make it as specific as possible? Because I could say like, oh, well, your kids are going to learn generational unhealth. But it's totally different if I'm like, because of how you are carrying yourself with your health, your kids are learning what normal looks like. And you're teaching them that normal is I should be unhappy and feel disgusting with myself. Well, what's a ramification of that? Well, if I feel like I should feel disgusted and unhappy with myself, is that only related just within one little silo that is our health and fitness, or is that more of like a lifestyle thing? It's more like a lifestyle thing. Well, what other areas of your life create your lifestyle? Your relationships, your financial well-being. Like there's so many other areas that you can tap into. It's like it's like, here's health. We chunk down into a deeper habit, a deeper thing, a deeper standard, a deeper value. And then I move it and then I chunk up to something different that may not directly be related, but they can see how it makes sense. And I'm like, well, it's not just this one. And if I tried to go like this, they're like, I'm not logically making sense. It doesn't logically make sense, but I went like this. And then I go down to a different one. And then I can go down to a different one. So on the surface, it may not seem related, but I'm intentionally trying to get deeper than the surface, get to a more value, a more behavior, a more thought process thing. And then I'm extrapolating that out into all the other areas, because our thoughts create our actions. And there's more than just health actions. There's financial actions, there's relationship actions, there's self-esteem. And that's how you can, like, if you understand that mental model of go from the specific problems of today, go deeper to the internal, and then extrapolate the internal to these other areas that may not directly seem related. Because if I was like, hey, the reason why, like, you're overweight, and because you've been overweight for 3 years, that means your kids are going to have a poor relationship with people and be abused in their relationship, you're going to be like, where the fuck did that come from? But if I start here and then I'm like, well, you're setting the precedent here of disgust and settling for less. And they see that. But then how you do anything is how you do everything. So that means now I have all this playing ground. Okay, well, if I have all this playing ground, what are some of the actual specific surface level things that are on this foundation? Well, there's your freaking relationships, there's your finances, there's your relationship with yourself. Now, up here, you may not be able to see it directly. Like, you're like, this does not equal that. You're like, that doesn't logically make sense to me. But if I first go down to the value, and then how you do anything is how you do everything, then it's just a matter of, do they believe? It's like, do they believe that how you do anything is how you do everything?
Okay. Would you say that instead of digging deep into, for example, health, like how does that make you feel? How does, when you do this, when this happens, when the kids say this, instead of digging deep into one aspect, it's better to go to explore different, you can say, like, sectors of how it can affect them.
It does depend. And that's the hard answer, is it does depend, because it depends on who you're looking at. Like, who am I speaking with? And then here's the thing. If somebody is like, well, I don't believe that by me being fat, it makes it so my kids are going to be poor. If they don't believe that, it's not going to land. So it has to be something that's believable, which is why I'm like, okay, well, you can't just like go from here, overweight, to here. You can't just do that. That's why I first went here, into a values thing, into an internal standards conversation type of a thing. Then once it's an internal standards conversation type of thing, it's easier for me to say how we do anything is how we do everything. As soon as they agree to that presupposition, guess what? The whole world opens up for me. Then it's, but I can't get to that stage if I just go from here to here, because they haven't agreed to how we do everything is how we do, or how we do anything is how we do everything. But if they do agree to that, if they agree to that frame for the rest of the call, then I can not do any and everything. But like, there's so much more leverage you got because they now accept the other leverage of relationships. They accept the other leverage of how you show up at work and how that affects your finances. Because we can all agree that our standards are not just like static in one thing. It's usually like an across the board thing, and we may be biased towards one and focus on one a lot. But we do have standards in all the other areas of our life. We just delude ourselves into thinking like, oh, well, like me, I let my health go for quite a while in the high ticket space. Why? Because I was like, I sold myself on the idea that I will put my physique on pause while I figure out how to make money. But guess what? Was there any actual person that was like, well, like, who came up with that idea? It was me. No one else did except me. But the truth is I know people out there that are jacked to the gills and learning about sales. It's not either or, it's both.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Amazing. Thanks for that.
Yeah, but the thing is like, to answer your question of like, well, should I take it from fitness into other shit? Depends. Do they think it's actually, is it believable to them? Like, does this person I'm speaking with think it's a believable thing? If it's a believable thing, then yeah, you can explore it because it actually lands. If they're like, I don't think that my health has anything to do with the money I make, I would disagree with that, number one. But then if they don't believe it, they're not going to go with it. And if they don't go with it, it doesn't have leverage.
Okay. And would we talk about the bottleneck here? That when you say it's like you mean the bottleneck, right? Like, for example, lack of urgency.
Well, I just mean
so
like, if I'm saying like, hey, dude, like, the way that you show up in the gym determines how your girl's going to date when she's older. Does he believe that?
No.
We don't know. I mean, he could not. Like, if I'm just immediately going from this to this, who knows? It may land. It may not land. But if I first go like, well, let me ask you this. Obviously, your physique right now is a demonstration of the standards you have. in terms of your health and wellness? Do you feel that when it comes to our standards, it's just like they're all siloed, or do you feel like we as people show up for ourselves at a certain level across the board? Well, I mean, probably across the board. Yeah, because I'm sure you've heard the saying, how you do anything is how you do everything. Well, yeah. So knowing that to be true, if we obviously are demonstrating that our standards are not what they need to be at the gym, how do you feel like you are showing your girl the type of standards of dudes that she should be interacting with? Oh shit, I've never thought about it like that. Right. But let's play it out. If she met you right now with the level of standards and she accepted that from another dude, how would you feel? I would hate that. Why? What makes you say that? But to answer your question, Ahmed, is that if this guy's like, I don't believe that my gym standards show up in other areas, it doesn't matter how much I try to convince him. It doesn't land. He's going to be like, what are you on about? That's weird. It's like me trying to be like, hey, dude, like Christianity is the way, and I'm talking to a Muslim. And they're like, what you on about, bro? That doesn't make any sense. I don't care what the Bible says. The Quran says this. It doesn't matter to you. But if I'm like, well, if we remove ourselves from the religious conversation, if you're like, oh, well, like if we're talking about me, it's like, well, the Bible matters to you. It's like, well, if you tell me anything about the Bible, and I believe the Bible is true, and I believe that it's important for me to know it, if you educate me on it, I'm gonna be like, oh shit, I never thought of that before. Frick. So can you escape just the health and wellness thing? Yes, you can. You may not be able to do it for everybody, because they may just in their own mind have a limitation of keeping it siloed. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you may just have to stay in the health and fitness world and just make that as big as painful as humanly possible. But then there's other
How
people.
do you do that?
Well, it's just by going deeper and getting ultra specific. Like, okay, so you said that, you look at yourself in the mirror and you feel gross. Like, what specifically out of the whole part of you makes you feel gross? Because I know that everybody has that. Well, for me, it's my belly. Okay, it's your belly. How big is your belly? When was the last time you measured it? Do me a favor, reach down. How many inches is that? By them literally grabbing it, they're going to be like, oh, fuck. And then you're like, then they're going to have that immediate uncomfortable feeling in the moment. And it's like, okay, so you have, how many inches did you say? 3 inches. Okay. And I know obviously you just tested it right now, but when was the last time you tested it? However many freaking years ago. So it's just going deeper, getting more specific, and eliciting more of the pain and the actual emotions associated with the physical. When was the last time you went out to eat in a way that you felt happy about? Never. Never? You can't tell me that. There's got to be at least one time. No, man. Never. How old are you? 60? Shit, man. How many times have you wanted to? Dude, every single freaking time my friends ask me to go out. How many times per year do you think that happened? I mean, at least like once a month. You're 60? Okay, so let's just say you were 18 when you first started. So 12 times, what would that be? 42? 12 times 42? I'm no math whiz, but that's a lot. So you're telling me that for over almost 500 times, you felt this way. Just hearing that out loud, how does that sit with you?
Yeah, I can see it, but the thing is, I have like, I don't know if it's just a fear or if it's stupid, but I don't want to sound like all these salespeople that say, "Oh, how does that make you feel? How does that impact you?" Because I know it creates too much resistance. I don't know if it does, but that's like an idea that I have.
It depends on how you go about it. But here's the thing: is like if they genuinely feel like you're trying to understand them, like the people that are using it in like a more salesmanly like way, they don't give a shit. So because they don't give a shit, that comes out in their tone and their cadence, specifically how the words leave their mouth. But if you actually give a shit, your cadence is different. And there's a certain tonality behind it, which I'm not trying to make this a tonality thing because that's not my strong suit. But like I can give a shit about people. Like I can do that. And by me being like, damn, You're telling me it's been 500 times. Dude, how does that like, I mean, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here, but like just hearing that, like how does that affect you? Like I said, I asked the exact same question, but you'll notice the way I did it was totally different. Fuck, man. Fuck. Like they're like, oh shit, this person's like hurting right now hearing this.
What would be your intention when you're going through the deep pain?
To help them understand why it's such a big deal to them and why they have to change. That's really it. Is like this. So we got the bottleneck. This is the mental reason why you're stuck, but you have to have enough juice behind making a change to actually make it change and stick. Because we are who we are today in the pain that we're in because we try to freaking stick our heads in the sand and avoid problems and avoid pain. Like that's what we do. And I know that you're probably not going to do that on your own. Most people are not very introspective. So you're probably going to just try to sweep it under the rug. And I know that if I'm trying to genuinely help you, we can't have it be under the rug. We can't have the monster underneath the bed. We have to pull the freaking covers back and look at the sucker, even though it doesn't feel good. And then we have to understand.
What if they say like the same way you did in the role play? Say, "Oh, this is why I'm in the squad. That's why I'm here." What would you come back
well,
with?
I can, and I'm grateful that you're here because that means you want to change. But the thing is that wanting to change and making the change are two different things. Because is it fair to say that being here is not enough? It's like walking into the kitchen saying I'm hungry. Like, is just walking into the kitchen going to get you to make a sandwich? Or do you actually have to freaking pull out the bread and the bologna and the cheese, and then you got to use the knife and you got to cut it, and you got to put all that stuff back and clean up after you're done eating? Well, yeah, I got to do that. Right. Because I'm happier in the kitchen right now. But being the chef is something totally different.
Okay, makes sense.
Cool. Good stuff.
Good, thanks.
I feel
Appreciate
like I
that.
went on a little bit of a ramble fest there. But Margaret, I'm happy you're here. What can I help you with?
So just a brief role play. I'm closing on the Onoa event at the end of the year.
Okay.
Like 2 weeks from now. So I wanted to
Okay.
just do a quick role play. It's
Okay.
e-commerce. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What section are you looking to practice?
More like the beginning.
Okay.
So I'm taking more of a fluid approach to this.
Okay.
Based on like their language patterns. So I'm
Okay.
still gonna go for the why and the bottleneck, but more so fluid.
Yep. Yep. Because I think that you and I are in a couple different communities that we all know.
Sorry, what's that?
I think we're both in a couple communities together.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're
right.
both in a couple communities together. So
I
I get
can
that.
count.
Yeah. Yep. So cool. Well then, so I'm just a person who's looking to make money with ecom. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I mean, you attended the webinar and you bought the 997 software. So this call is more like an upsell call, but you don't
Okay.
know.
Got you. Okay. Cool. All right.
All right.
Is it-
Hey, Tommy, how's it going?
It's going well. Margaret, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic. Nice to have you on the call. How did you find the webinar? How was it?
It was really good. I got the software. We're pretty excited, and we'll go ahead and get her done and up and off the ground as soon as humanly possible. So,
Yeah.
still figuring a couple
Right.
things out, but we'll get there.
Okay, cool. What was it about the webinar that caught your attention and made you want to like jump in and get the software? Like what really stood out to you?
Well, the software makes it a whole hell of a lot easier, and I'm definitely a fan of if something works, doing it easier rather than harder.
Okay. And are you just getting into e-commerce or do you already have your e-commerce store? Like what's going on?
Yeah, so this would be my first time. I have dabbled a little bit in e-commerce before, but actually having a store that's up and running, this would kind of be the first.
Okay, got it. And when did you first dabble into e-commerce? Like what does that look like?
I mean, that was probably like 5 years ago. I think I got like I don't know. I started like a Shopify store and then uploaded a whole bunch of images, and then it was like I don't really know what I'm doing. So then I started looking for some people to kind of educate me on that. And then I ended up going in a different direction for a while. But then obviously the webinar, I ended up going through that, and then it made a lot of sense to me. So I think I can kind of get something running now.
Okay. I mean, 5 years is a long time. What would you say is the biggest reason you even trying to get into e-commerce in the first place?
Also to really just have like a store that, is scalable, have something that's generating income and revenue. I mean, I feel like that's what most people want when it comes to e-commerce.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, everyone wants to make more money when it comes to e-commerce. I mean, for you specifically, when you say generating income, like what's the goal with that? How much income are we talking about?
So I'd like to be able to do about 15 grand a month.
15 grand a month, okay. And right now, what do you do for work?
So I right now am a customer support manager for a company, specifically in the real estate space. And so basically what I do is I help them when it comes to making sure people are going through what they need to do, kind of get access to materials, and actually start making progress with it. That's basically what I do.
And how long have you been doing that?
So I've been doing that for about a year and a half now.
Okay. Do you like it? How's the job?
I mean, it's a pretty fulfilling sort of role. Get to see a lot of people who are pretty much brand spanking new come in and then actually start getting some traction. So it is a pretty fulfilling role, I would say.
So you're a manager, right? Like you're in management?
Management, as well as, kind of tracking like what other people in the actual process are doing and to see what type of progress they're making. So it's like people on the team, but then also within the actual organization from like a customer's perspective.
Okay. I mean, when you say fulfilling, like most people don't get that fulfillment from their job. So what is it about your job that makes you feel like fulfilled about it?
I mean, just being able to really see people come in and start having progress and making things happen. I know that sometimes it can be very overwhelming for people to try something new. And so I'm able to be there with them and help them and get them to where they want to go.
Okay. It sounds like I mean, you love what you do and that's great. So like what's got you even looking for extra income,
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know of anybody that doesn't want to make more money.
Yeah. I mean, some people are very loyal, like they'll stay at the job they love. Like, why do you feel like you need to make more money?
Well, I mean, I saw your guys's webinar. I signed up for it, and I was like, okay, well, this seems like something that's doable for me. So, I mean, why the hell not?
Yeah, I mean, the webinar is more like all of those things you see online. So, and this is something you've tried dabbling into like 5 years ago. So it does seem like the past 5 years you've been trying to make some extra income, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what's behind that? Like, do you feel like you're not making enough money right now? Like, what would that change for you?
Well, it would just give me a little bit like a diversity in terms of where my income's coming from. That's really kind of like the biggest thing is having a little bit of diversity and where all of it's coming from.
Okay, and how much do you make right now?
So I do about five grand a month.
5 grand a month. And like, what do your monthly expenses typically look like?
So for me, it's about like 2.5-ish, I'd say.
Okay, so 1.5. And is it just you, or do you have a family that you also support?
So I mean, I have like family, but it's not like anybody I'm responsible for.
Okay, so you're able to like keep 2.5 grand at the end of each month, or do you have other things apart from that? From
Well, I mean,
expenses?
yeah, well, there's other. I mean, I'm sure I spend money on other stuff too. But that's most of it's mine at the end of the day, except for taxes. That's kind of sucks.
Okay. So if you triple your income like by 15K with e-commerce, like what would that change for you, or what would change?
Pause. I'm not gonna lie, Margaret. I'm gonna have to run in a bit. I've got
Oh,
somebody else in
okay.
the next meeting, so I do apologize for rambling as much as I have.
No worries.
Yeah. So in terms of for me, I would definitely want to make sure that I understand a little bit faster. Like, okay, well, so obviously we're on the call. You look into this. So what do you do? How long have you been doing that? Okay, and then out of curiosity, I've never heard of that position. What does it do for you income wise, just ballpark? Okay, well, I know a lot of people that would kind of like what you're doing. Is there something about what you're doing now that isn't exactly doing it for you? So you went like, do you like your job? I would go down the route of like the more negative side of it earlier, personally.
Oh, okay.
Because then it takes you to where their unhappiness is with today. Not to say that, like,
Mm.
basically what I see from some of the best people in space, Kurt, Josh, some of the other people, is they
Mhm.
try to find the unhappiness as soon as humanly possible because that's where the juice is. So, not to say you can't do like what you want. I'm just saying from what I've seen, they usually find that very quickly, or they find the real goal, and then what not having the real goal is costing,
All right. To
basically.
get it faster. Yeah.
Yeah, personally, which there's different question sequences you can do to get that. If you have any specific things, message me, and then I'll see if I can get you something more specific. All right.
No worries. Thanks for this.
All right, peeps. My apologies for rambling as much as I did. I have to run to my next meeting, but everybody take care, and we'll go ahead and we'll do this again this next week, unless you have any other questions between now
Yeah.
and then.
See you next Monday. Bye.
All right. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.